Close your eyes now and see the world. Close your mind and you learn. 'Cause all this job tree will surely burn. Now you know we're all on a path, and I hope you learn. No, and I know I'll sit down by the river, and you will find now, 'cause you're no bigger, no, what you are inside. Nah, nah, no, sit down by the river, and you will find now, 'cause you're no bigger than the birds that fly.
Hi, everybody. Coach Stefan Rudolph coming to you from beautiful Escondido, California, out here on a lovely summer day, enjoying the heat, trying to be positive in every way for the very warm weather out here, and coming together to bring everyone together for another group of Healthy. And our group here focuses on positive mindset, personal growth, self-development, what I call control, delete, reset your mind, reset your life. Love to be a part of this group with these wonderful ladies. We have a very special guest out here too today. She's going to talk about her upcoming book and what it's doing for other people. And Ava Montgomery is her name, and we'll be able to discuss in detail the positive aspects of overcoming obstacles in life, whether it be epilepsy, dis-ease, anything and everything out there. Wanted to introduce the group. We have Liz here and Stacy as well. So Liz, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning. Hello to everybody. My name is Liz Nichols. My business is Liz Nichols, A Woman in Motion. And primarily what I do is I offer coaching for women with epilepsy. And I started my business because I had epilepsy and I couldn't find a lot of support out there. So I developed a business to help support others with epilepsy. And I'm going to turn this over to Stacy, my friend Stacy. How are you?
I'm doing well. And how are you doing?
Good.
So I am a health, lifestyle, and epilepsy coach. I got it started over 25 years ago. I had developed epilepsy at the age of 5, and I struggled with my disorder. And throughout the years, I had learned how to incorporate health and lifestyle changes into my life, which helped me control my epilepsy and my seizures. So I help others by helping them, teach them how to live a happy, healthy, and productive life using different methods of alternative lifestyle changes, which has to do with detoxing, supplements, exercise, fitness, sleeping, and all different types of things wrapped up in one. So I help people of various natures of all different types of conditions, including epilepsy. And I'm here today, and I'm very excited to introduce someone very special. Her name is Ava, and she's in the process of publishing her new book, which she's going to tell you all about. And she has a very interesting story, and that she's going to share some of the obstacles she's went through and share how she's overcome these obstacles. So Ava, we're very glad you're here with us, and thank you for coming, and we'd love to hear more about you.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me. What an incredible group you guys have, and so necessary, so necessary to talk about what's after the disease, what's after the trauma, and how to really get past that. So I personally do not have epilepsy. I have struggled in other areas of my life, which prompted me to write this book. I am a single mom with an awesome 16-year-old son, and who is very, very near and dear to me. So for me, my trauma actually started as a young girl. My parents got divorced at a young age. We're part of that generation where that sort of happened, or at least I am. You guys aren't, but I am. And what followed after that was sort of one trauma after the other. My mother, she had a lot of toxic relationships that I witnessed. There was violence involved, and my father abandoned me essentially. And so the equivalent of all those things, and at the time in my life, you know, it was 5 when it started. I was about 9 or 10 when they finally got divorced. And then, you know, I started hanging out with people who were older than me. So I was about 9 years old and I was hanging out with 13 and 14-year-olds. And because of that, obviously was exposed to a lot of things such as drugs and alcohol before the age of 14, really. And low self-confidence, low self-esteem, which also, you know, really controlled the type of relationships I got in and how I felt about myself, my self-worth. And from that, you know, negativity and inability to have the tools that I needed to understand who I was and what I could do to overcome my situation. It really prompted me to, in later years, try to dive into that and figure out, you know, how I thought to myself, if I could figure out the one thing that I could pinpoint was the catalyst for everything, and not the trauma, because the trauma at some point you've got to get over the trauma, right?
Oh yeah.
If not, that'll sink you. And I did that for a lot of years, reliving the same loop, and reliving the same pattern, reliving everything that happened to me, and solidifying the fact that I'm not worth anything, right? And so when you go out into the world, try to create whatever it might be, a business or follow, you know, a passion, it's very, very difficult to do that
Oh
when
yeah.
when you have a negative mindset. And you know, I'm sure we've all heard this, but you know, you bring about what you think about.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
You
So
know.
if you're trying to create something amazing while you're living in a thought world that, you know, is pulling you down and beating yourself up and just all of those negative aspects, then you're not going to get very far. And, you know, there's a huge connection between mind health and physical health. And I would love for you guys to talk about that, because that's your area. I mean, I can touch on it for sure. But miraculous things can happen if you shift your perspective.
Oh yeah.
And what has changed the trajectory of my life is exactly that, is reframing
Mm-hmm.
what my story means, is reframing what the trauma means, what the obstacles mean, and
Mm-hmm.
get past that and live with it, but
Right.
use it to strengthen me and bring a greater message out there, right?
Mm.
Bring a greater hope out there, finding something in the pain, in the obstacle that you're passionate about, that's going to drive you, that's going to be that catalyst, that I call it finding your why, right?
Right.
Something, what are you pissed off about? What do you want to change? What are you passionate about? What lights you up? Because there are going to be tough days, right? Life, I have come to realize that there is a major part of life that is suffering,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh,
So
100%.
right. So how we suffer and the meaning that we put behind it is going to change our way of being. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to change how we show up. And
Right.
it's going to change our general attitude about life. And it's going to also bring a calm and peace in your neurosystem, your neurological system, your emotional, you know, life. All of those things are equally as important as managing whatever the physical disease is. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. Over 70% of our population comes from a dysfunctional family. And a lot of times when you're in a dysfunctional family, you live in an environment and you don't, what you see in that environment, what you experience in that environment, you think is normal, even though it's not. And what happens usually is that you cling on to those behaviors. And if people are putting you down, or if people are not praising you as you're growing up, you're not going to think very highly of yourself, and you're not going to feel good about yourself as a person. So when you don't feel good about yourself as a person, your goals are set very low. A lot of times people don't think they're worthy of change. They don't think they're worthy of having any better. They don't think, they fear change, and they fear, they fear life itself. And they look at the worst possible scenarios of every event in their life. And when you look at the worst possible scenarios, you're going to fear everything. You're going to be afraid of your own shadow. And you also cling on to people that have the same story as you, because you're looking for support. But the problem is that you're clinging on to people from dysfunctional families that have the same problems as you. So how are you supposed to take a step up when these people are hurting just as bad as you, and they're thinking on the same level as you? So you kind of get stuck in this like Play-Doh of an environment, and there's no room of getting better unless you have the help that you need, people showing you step by step how to get over that hump. And then, when you are around negativity, I always say karma, negativity is going to occur. It's it's looking at the positive, getting yourself out of that negative environment and working on yourself, and actually separating yourself from all the negativity in your life and just focusing on you as number one priority, and getting help from others and learning step by step how to overcome those problems. Because it's really, it's very hard when you are surrounded by negativity and dysfunctionalism. You need people to help you step by step how to move forward. But the problem is, just like addiction, you have to want to be helped. A lot of people, their low self-esteem is so low that they don't think they have a chance, or they don't think they're worthy enough of change or a better life, but they are.
Well, the other thing is that, and I don't know if anybody identifies with this, but I got really comfortable there. It was safe for me to be in victimhood.
Oh, definitely.
So victimhood versus like cause and effect, right? Victimhood versus empowerment. So
it was your safe zone.
Right, exactly. Well, I self-defamation was a comforting place for me.
Yeah.
Why me was a comforting place for me. I'm nothing, all of those things, like why me, I'm useless. I can't believe everything I do, everything I try doesn't work. I'm broken. That was I am broken. I'm broken all the time. Well, here's the deal. When you're in victimhood, first of all, I was keeping those traumas alive.
Yeah.
20 years later.
Oh,
my
definitely.
body had no idea. My physical body inside had no idea that event wasn't still happening, because I literally was living in my mind as if it still was. Does that
You were
make
living
sense?
in the past.
Right.
You weren't in the present. You were focusing on the past.
Right.
Like the past was your present.
Right. And I enveloped myself in a lovely bubble of victimhood and sorrow and self-pity and all of the things that have zero solution in them, right? When you're in the problem, you cannot see a creative solution to it. You're just piling on more and more and more of this wall of like shutting yourself in, right?
Oh, definitely.
And being completely paralyzed. And so I had to go through extensive program, in order to get certification, and just years of really soul searching and reading and therapy and different modalities, and really just nutrition, so important, so important.
100%.
And I think it's overlooked, honestly.
Oh, it is. A lot of times, a lot of the food we eat could be mood alter into the brain.
Correct.
They don't realize, but all those toxins they put in food, some of those toxins, actually trigger different behaviors in the brain, like ramen noodles. They did a study on ramen noodles. College kids love ramen noodles. It's cheap. It's easy to eat.
To.
It has a substance in it that could trigger trigger and change the way the brain thinks. And, you know, it's like, you know, and there's a lot of foods out there that do the same type of things, you know, and that's why there's, you know, you see so many people with ADHD or, you know, it's attention deficit disorder, and autism is on the rise. You know, people don't associate that maybe all these toxins we're putting in our body are having an effect on people's mind and, you know, altering the way they think and behave.
And their chemistry, 100%, 100%. And so, you know, my big thing now, and with my book, is solution. You know, I really, yes, we have to emotionally heal from whatever it is, from acceptance, you know.
Yes.
And I think if you know, you sort of look at it as a death, right? There's a mourning process.
There's 100% a mourning process. Yes.
That I had to go through. And sometimes it still rears its ugly head, but you know, hey, my life did not go the way I wanted it to. I was not where I wanted. You know, we get these ideas of how life is supposed to be. By 20, I'm supposed to I got to go to college. I'm going to get a great job. I'm going to marry a man or whatever it is, you know, that your story is, right?
Yeah.
And that at a certain point in life, you're supposed to be somewhere, right?
Right.
And I wasn't where I thought I wanted to be. Well, you know, nobody is when you're.
Well, I think the main thing is that most people fall into fantasy and desire versus reality. And sometimes, you know, you fantasize of where you suspect or where you think you should be, and you have this dream of what you want to do with your life, but that dream doesn't always pan out because it's not reality. You know, reality, you can set goals and try to reach those goals, but you're not always gonna, you know, attain exactly what you put in your head. And that's the fantasy. You know, it's great to set positive and constructive short-term and long-term goals, but you know what, you know, I always set higher goals than I could achieve. But then you have to stop and think, you know, what's fantasy and what's reality, and then look at what you've accomplished and give yourself a pat on the back.
Oh, celebration's so important. You know, we don't realize that, like, it's not a straight line to success.
No.
And the sooner everybody just like honestly embraces that fact, I think we're going to cut out like 50% of the angst of most people. Like,
Yeah.
Life is struggle. So, and there's a beauty in struggle though.
Right.
I have learned to really embrace struggle because number one, I know that there's a lesson I'm going to learn.
Right.
I am not going to be the same person when I get through it. I'm going to be stronger, more resilient, and I'm going to have learned something that I can share with somebody else. And that's what it's about.
Right.
And so, and there's always, for me, for most people, there's always a breakthrough after a struggle. You cannot have a breakthrough until you have a breakdown. You cannot appreciate beauty and good and what you have. Gratitude is everything. And I practice and I'll talk about that, but you cannot do that. Right.
Right. 100%.
So without the struggle, without understanding what happiness is and what sadness is. And so it is all about how you frame it.
Yeah,
Right.
I just recently even created a journal on positivity and gratitude because, you know, I think it's so important that people journal. You know, we really need to write our thoughts down and organize what's in our head, and then also learn to have gratitude for the little things in life, because those little things in life are more valuable than people perceive them as. You know, it's when they get taken away, that's when people realize how precious they are. And, you know, and the positive thinking, you know, the power of positive thinking, you will not get through life if you don't have a positive attitude. You will sit there and you will just drown in your sorrows. You will fall into depression. You will just live a terrible life, and that leads to disease because, you know, over 70% of diseases are caused by stress. So
Correct.
you're just putting yourself in a grave, you know. So you really need to kick out the negativity, focus on the positive, and be happy for what you have, because you go to a third world country, you stay there for a month. I guarantee you, when you come back, you're going to be very gracious of what things that you have, because you don't realize until you go somewhere where these people don't have anything. And then you realize, wow, you know, just going outside and seeing the trees and being able to, you know, being able to pour a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. You know, some people, you know, they don't have those luxuries, that people don't even consider them luxuries. But if you go to certain countries, it is a luxury.
For sure. And, you know, here's the thing. It's physically impossible to be in anger and to be in sadness when you are in gratitude.
Yes.
You cannot be in both. The mind cannot recognize both at one time.
100%.
So when you are in gratitude, you're doing yourself, you're jump starting that mindset. Every morning and every night. I don't care how bad it is. Okay, you guys, there have been moments in my life where I had to bounce a check to put gas in the car to pick my son up from school. Okay.
Oh, 100%. I can remember those days.
Yeah, I have a college degree. I have my real estate license. I'm in branding. I'm a certified, like I'm an overachiever. And
Right.
I was to the point where I was almost like gonna lose my house and lose my son. So in those moments, you've got to choose. You've got to choose who's going to win and what you're going to fight for. And in those moments is when you take a deep breath and you say, and I don't care how simplistic it has to be in the beginning, because it's hard. When you're in a really low place, it's very, very difficult to see the positive. But
100%.
If it's, I am grateful I have eyes to see today. I am grateful I'm above ground today. I have a roof over my head today. I had to bring it into, you know, these 5 minutes sometimes, these 24 hours sometimes, staying in the present moment and not allowing the mind to go project forward or go backwards. Because currently, if you're living in the power of now, in this moment right now, with you, me, and Stacy and Stefan and all these wonderful people that you're speaking to, there is we are all taken care of right now.
Right.
Everything is okay right now. So when you just stay in the next minute, the next minute, the next minute, and try to remember to practice gratitude every single day, you will see that that one thing will change your trajectory. Just the slightest change brings upon the greatest change.
100%.
That's the power of positivity. I love that. And this is awesome topics, because what you're looking at, the dis-ease in life that Wayne Dyer taught me, there had to be an awakening at 18 years old, 25 years old. When we started the conversation, you said something key here, Ava. It was to be awake, almost like, I'm going to get there. Because everything I got to, it's like the high school graduation, the college graduation, the marriage, the homes. I was like, now what? Once I got there, I didn't awaken. So people that get there have to, I had to more live in spirit and awakenness and be able to say, okay, this is what I want to do, but the passion and power and purpose in life has to be there. You have 100%. To be understanding that this is the fuel from the negativity is huge. If we live in an ego state of mind, we don't get out of it. We just live in it our rest of our lives. People end up homeless. They end up losing everything because they're not doing what they should be doing.
And they're not fulfilled. We're trying to fill ourselves with other things, right? If I perform enough, if I get a raise, if I work up the corporate ladder enough, I'm going to be worthy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be this.
Right.
The problem is this is not this. This is all external stuff that doesn't matter until you understand who you are, what your purpose is. We're all here. I believe this. We're all here for a reason.
Oh, definitely.
We all have unique, special, beautiful gifts. We all have unique, special, beautiful stories. And when I say beautiful stories, I mean the stories that are awful. I mean the stories, those are beautiful because within the ashes is the beauty. Out of the mess comes the message. And when you can find your message and you have the tools to really sort of understand all of this from a 30,000-foot view, and then are given the tools to systematically like direct and learn how to figure out what that is. A lot of people don't know what that is. A lot of people are in their 50s, they have no idea who they are. A lot of people in their 30s, 20s, 40s, 70s.
They've lived off the idea of society giving them, this is what you do, this is what you get, this is what you'll be. College diplomas, graduate degrees, doctrines. Okay, now what? And then
Well,
they're
that
like,
goes
there's no
that goes back
passion.
to that low self-esteem. You know, you
Right.
do what you think society wants you to do, the expectations of society, instead of making yourself happy as a person.
I
you
call
know?
it performing, perfecting, and pleasing, right? Living your
Yeah.
life. That's not authentic. You are not being your authentic self. And if you are not your authentic self, I firmly believe, well, first, you know, the mind, and then the body and the disease will follow.
Oh, 100%. And it took me a long time to get to that point where I was strong enough to say, you know, I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm not going to try to be a pleaser and please everybody around me, no
Oh.
matter how much I care about them, no matter how much of a heart I have. You know, I need to take your number one priority is yourself, because you can't take care of anybody unless you take care of yourself first. And, you know, and that's the main thing. And you need to do, in order to take care of yourself, you need to make yourself inside, in your inner self, happy as a person. And that's by being able to actually do what makes you happy and not worry about what others around you are going to think. And that
And
goes down to self-esteem.
how freeing is that when you when
very
you
freeing, yes.
really get it, and you're not just saying, you know, and here's the deal, there's nothing wrong with fake it till you make it, right? There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. But when it's truly organically, I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the whole world is different.
Yeah.
Whole, you know, I know that, so I look at the world through rose-colored glasses. But honestly, pick up another pair of glasses.
Yeah.
Like honestly, because
I felt so free once I was able to live life and do what makes me happy as a person.
yeah,
And that doesn't mean being self-centered. And, you know, I take care of people. I do everything. I love to advocate. I'm always reaching out to help others, but I'm doing what makes me happy as a person. And I'm not worried about what this person's going to say or what that person's going to say, you know, and that all goes down. Once you build your self-esteem up and you love the person you see in that mirror, then you can conquer all. You know, it's a no-brainer.
I love you. That's what we say, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
say that to yourself. And
Yeah.
Louise Hay was big on that, was huge. I saw her and she talked about that. I could not, she said this, look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful, you're lovely. And see how I'm sarcastic? I was doing that. Okay, you're beautiful. Yeah, right. And I was like kind of pissed off that she said she did that for years and she overcame all her obstacles. And I
Right.
started doing it. It was very hard. It was just say, you're beautiful, you're happy, you're wonderful. I'm like, bullshit. It was like, the ego kept saying, the ego versus spirit. And in between is a mouthful of excuses and blame and rhetoric toward how bad you are.
Right. Right.
Right. But you said it anyway. Right. And you kept saying it. And there's something about that, which is why I said fake it till you make it. You know, I often say to my clients or my son even, you don't have faith in yourself, borrow mine. Borrow my belief in you right now. And if you believe me, if you don't believe it now, that's okay. You can borrow mine and eventually you will.
Yeah. I call it faith, courage, wisdom, strength, and hope. And
That's
those
right.
are the components of life. You know, you have all those components and you will live a happy and productive life.
Right. And so
and Liz, I want Liz to chime in here with any
yes,
questions.
Liz. Actually, I'm so sorry. We've been chatting. I have to grab, I'm so sorry. My charger or my phone's gonna make
Yeah, just put it on mute real quick and Liz, chime in with what you get from this. And
I want to hear what Liz has to say though. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. I agree with everything that's been said. And I think these conversations are so important. And hopefully people get a lot of helpful information out of them by us sharing our experiences, our thoughts, and our ideas. And this is just brilliant conversation, you guys. I'm thrilled. I'm listening. I'm learning lots out of this too. And so many things are so bang on. Like, you know, when I got the epilepsy at 21, it was like, you know, this was so many years ago. Nobody talked about it. Nobody had heard about it. Nobody knew knew about it. And I was, I had a really good life, really good life. I'd been to college, I'd been to Europe, I traveled, I had my own apartment, I drove, I had a great job, I partied, I traveled more, I made good money and I had amazing friends. And all of a sudden, at 21, there's a full-on grand mal seizure and my life changed in a heartbeat. But
Yeah.
there wasn't resources, there wasn't people to talk to, people didn't
No,
want
there
to talk about
wasn't.
it. They didn't know about it. So it was sort of like living in a I don't know what word to put to it, but you were sort of,
You were kind of living in your own enclosed bubble,
yeah,
and you needed help, but you were enclosed in this bubble. You felt trapped probably. Like, what
well,
do I
and I
do?
was
How do I
lucky
get
enough.
this help?
Yeah, I had amazing friends. But I sought out ways to, after I went through why me? And all that stuff that we've talked about earlier. But
Yeah,
I sought out, holistic alternative, a whole bunch of different things, searching for resources to fix me because
right.
I was broken, right?
Yeah.
And so I spent a ton of time and money looking for resources to make me better or help me through it. Because back in the generation I'm from, you didn't talk about it.
No, you did
So
not. And
after about 20 years, I'm like, I'm talking about it. I'm
yeah,
talking about it, right? So it's important to have these conversations, and it's important for people to know that they can reach out
yeah,
and ask for help, get help, and that it's all about mindset.
yeah.
And there's resources and people out there that are non-judgmental, and they're there to help you because what they've gone through has taught them a lot of lessons they can share with others. So I'm thrilled with these conversations.
I love that story.
Yeah,
Love that story.
and how
Yes.
about your book then, Ava, for connecting? I like the part here too. I was going to chime in about the childhood, because my dad left when I was young, my biological father, and came back in my life for a little while and then was gone for 30 years until recently.
It's
And it's
devastating.
been something that's
Yeah.
been traumatizing without me knowing it. You
Yeah.
said
Right.
something so key. I was 8, 9 years old, the same thing. I had 3 or 4 friends here in Vista I grew up with, smoking weed, drinking beer.
Oh
I
yeah.
was drinking beer. I tried my first beer, I think 8 years old. I spit it out and I threw it all over the place. I didn't like it, but I was smoking weed at 9, 10 years old to
Yep.
fit in. And
Yeah.
they would make fun of me and they would say, oh, here, try this, do this. And I didn't have a father figure there. It was something that I think I was missing to say, hey, don't go over there. Don't smoke this. Don't drink that. Don't do this.
Well,
No one was
this
there.
is
So I
who
just
you
tried to
are.
fit in.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So thanks for asking about the book. This culminate, I didn't really set out with the intent. Like, I didn't know that this was how it was all going to come out, which is, I'm sure you guys have, the gals who've written books, it's a really interesting and cathartic process. But bottom line is, my son just turned 16, and I'm really passionate about his life and having, when you have kids or you care for anybody, you want them to have what a better footing in life than you
Yeah.
did.
Oh,
And
definitely. And that's
and
sometimes it's hard. It's more like a fantasy because they're going to go through their hardships. And the best thing you could do
sure,
is support them,
100%. And so, for me, and it's so funny that you guys brought up confidence and self-confidence. I just, after hours of years of really, I just wanted to really dial down and think, if I could change one thing that could change everything,
Yeah.
what would that be? What would be the one thing that I could go out there and how can I exponentially help change the world by not trying, and here's the deal. There are so many people that need help, right? I love what you guys are doing. I love it so much. And like you said, Stacey, there's generations of people that were trained not to talk, not to express themselves, not to be honest. So there's a lot of undoing that needs to be done. But what I wanted to focus on was about setting people up for success before the trauma, you know what I mean? Giving tools so that maybe, just maybe, you don't have to go through all of that to get back around, right?
Right.
So I started thinking about my son. I started thinking about COVID. and what it has done to everyone,
Right.
but especially the children. And it happened 8th and 9th grade for him, which are monumental grades. Talk about, like, if you want to equate it to not having a parent, right? Or not getting the guidance that you needed as a child, like Stefan and I were talking about. It's the same thing in school for these kids, right?
Right.
They didn't have those developmental years. They didn't have the instruction to transition from middle school to high school, which is completely a different animal.
Yeah.
With 1,000 more things that they've got to navigate through. And that, you know, teen suicide, anxiety disorders, drug overdoses, teenage pregnancies, sexual, like multiple sexual partners, all of those things stem from one thing: the lack of self-confidence, the lack of self-worth, the lack of self-belief. So,
People are seeking pleasure. They're trying to find that void, to fill their heart, and they search and search and search, and they do all different things because they have that hole in their heart. And they're looking for ways to fill that hole.
You cannot fill it
No.
until you fill it with love for yourself. You cannot.
Exactly.
It is unfillable. And
100%.
Unfillable. I don't care how many bottles of whiskey you drink. I don't care how many women. I don't care how many, whatever it is. I don't care how much food you eat, how many pizzas you order. It's not going to go away ever.
No.
I used to say this all the time, sure, and I didn't come up with it, but wherever you go, there you are.
Right. And you hear people talk about all the time.
All the time. If you look at my TRW from the years of, I don't even know, let's see, 1991 to like 2000, and I have like 5 pages of places that I lived on my credit report, because I thought, oh, I'm just going to relocate. I'm going to relocate here. I'm going to relocate there. I'm going to move to Chicago. It's going to be better in Chicago.
Right.
No, it wasn't better in Chicago. The same scenario happened with a different guy, with a different situation, with a different set of friends. It's all the same, because I didn't change anything in here.
No, until you change yourself, your life is not going to change. Even you see people like people who have everything monetarily. They're not. A lot of people aren't happy, and they have yachts,
or they
houses, or they lose it all. And because they spend it on luxury things, and they spend it, because they're looking for that happiness, but they don't find it.
Correct.
And they're run by an ego mentality that I used to live like this, and I see it a lot, is, hey, you know what? I don't want to talk about it. Drop it. People are like that. And I had to, face it in order to erase it. So I had to
But not everybody wants to face it, though. That's the problem.
I had to face the alcoholism. I had to face the homelessness. I had to face everything and say, thank you. So it's that Wayne Dyer thing again. It's like, I need this in order to grow. And I also need to face it, because, hey, when I hear that phrase, it's like a trigger to me that this person needs help. They don't want to talk about it. They got a lot of drama, but they need the right person to talk to. It's also just being able to talk to somebody about waking up. Robin Williams movie, what was that, when he talked to the guy and
Awakening?
What is it?
Awakening with Robert De Niro.
Oh, that one too. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm thinking of another one, but he basically talking to people in order to open up. You need someone to talk to, and when Robin Williams was the therapist and he was talking to
Dr. Potts.
Oh, one of them. I'll think of it in a second.
Oh, well, see.
I can't think of it all this time.
Helping your analogy.
It's just being able to open up and say, this is who I am.
Right.
And I need to fix it instead of.
Right. And also take responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Good Will Hunting. Sorry. Good Will Hunting.
Did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I wanted to throw the movie. I just thought of it. Good Will Hunting. That was yeah.
I love all of his, those are all awesome movies, but yeah, taking responsibility. So, it's also shifting from that victimhood to ownership. Right. So yeah, a lot of crappy things happened to me. A lot of things, terrible things happened to me personally growing up, and epilepsy is awful. And, my stepfather just got cancer. I mean, there are things that are happening, but I'm responsible for me. So even though those things happened to me, I also created my own wake of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to wake up and take and look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, yes, this did happen to you, right? But you are responsible for how you move forward.
Yes,
You need to
100%.
own your behavior. You need to own the mistakes that you made, the people that you hurt. You need to make amends,
Yes.
right? You need to take ownership of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then move on from there and make a decision and make it right. I say
Right.
all the time, you want a better life, make a decision and make it right. You want something, work with a coach, work with people like Stefan, myself, and Stacy. Find the support to do it, but do not use it as an excuse to continue negative, destructive behavior.
And people
Because
don't like to face the truth, but
no,
that's
they
the
don't.
only way,
They don't.
because it hurts when you
It
face
hurts.
the truth, and it also makes you have to change. When you face the truth, your next step is figuring out how to change, and those are the truth and changing are two things most people fear, but it's not until you want to change that change is going to occur. And a lot of people have to hit rock bottom, unfortunately, because there are times when I see people making the wrong decisions and it drives me nuts. And I learn from my own experiences that you cannot change someone if they don't want to change themselves.
Everybody's on their own journey, and
Yeah.
and all you can do is
Is all you
support.
can do.
That's
Yeah.
all, that's all you can
There's
do.
two
That's all
different
you can
entities.
do.
Yeah.
Wake up, we say, when we look at ourselves from an old view, and that old view doesn't want to change. I'm specifically writing about that right now. I wrote about it last night. The old me said, you're fine. You can drink again. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to that person. It held me back. And I think this happens in everybody's life, even if it's week to week, month to month, year to year. It's like, well, I'm going to stay in this relationship. It's okay. She's okay, or he's okay. But it's horrible. And you don't realize I change. So you have the new you saying, let's change, let's grow. The old you says, no, everything's fine. So it's like a battle constant.
You got to step out of your own box, and you have to look at your life honestly, and you have to look at the stages and see where it's getting you in life. Are you stagnant? Are you progressing? Are you going downhill? And then you have to be honest and say, okay, now what do I want for myself? What do I really want as a person? And that's when you have to reevaluate yourself and spend some time, focusing on who you are and what your goals are as a person.
And a lot of people don't know how to answer that question, isn't it funny?
No.
And I'm talking about big time people, like people who have doctorates and whatever. Everybody is important. I didn't mean to say that. I take that back. But what I mean to say is that
I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't know. Like what I had to figure that out, like really pinpoint, like what am I about? Like what am I for? What are my talents, and how am I going to use them in a way that leaves this world in a better place?
What is your true passion? What's your destiny in life? And people search for that for years, and some people never find the answer, but you can find, there are techniques and there's strategies.
I see my book.
It's on my book too.
Yeah, tell us about tell us about your book and where they can find it and what it's about when it's coming out here. Tell us about it.
Thank you so much. Well, it's called Limitless Confidence for Teens, Building Unshakable Confidence, Claiming Happiness, and Being Your Best Self. It is a book that really sort of breaks down the phases of the development that we're talking about. Really, first of all, identifying what is self-confidence? What does that look like? Really defining and explaining the difference between emotions and thoughts, and how those two can get jumbled up, and how to set boundaries, which I think is important. Listen,
Very
this book
important.
I geared towards teens, but I promise you, literally, I could write the same book for adults, right?
Right.
The vernacular and sort of the language that I use, but it all applies to all of us, because it's all the stuff that we've all learned.
Exactly.
And so now I'm just putting it in a format for teenagers, because I think it's necessary. I want to help them and empower them, and I think what an amazing thing to like, the goal is to have a generation that's actually on purpose,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That knows who
Love-
they are, that are coming from authenticity and really are like living to the beat of their own drum. How much more exciting and healthier relationships, and the ripple effect of that.
And it's so hard though, you know, it's because today with the media and
Oh
with
my
all the
God.
different social medias, people, they're looking to these influencers and they're
Comparison.
you know, I would say a good majority of them are not always that great to follow, and
It's
they give
fake.
yeah, it's fake, and they give a wrong persona, and these children, these young
Correct.
adults, these teens are following in their footsteps, thinking that it's cool, thinking that with this, oh, you know, if they're doing it, you know,
Or I'm
in.
not good enough because I'm not this person, or I don't have this many people following me on social media. My son doesn't have social media. I managed to, well, he has TikTok, but he's not on Facebook. He's not on Instagram. He's not on any of those. And I talk about that in the book as well. It's about a comparison and the traps of social media, and how
Yeah.
important it is to surround yourself with the right people and
Oh,
have
yeah.
the right boundaries. So
And there's a lot of bullying that goes on with those social
the
medias.
bullying and, you know, and the anxiety and depression comes a lot from the
Oh,
comparison. And I say,
100%.
anybody can stand in front of a Porsche and airbrush themselves and
Yeah.
hashtag Sunday fun day.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, go around the corner and, you know, you don't have enough money to eat, like,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. It's like the whole
They're
thing.
focusing on the outside. That's a big part. Yeah. And then social media, I totally agree. One thing you're saying that hits home is when you start drinking or using, you stop growing. So at my 14, 15-year-old stage,
Correct.
I stopped growing for 25 years. So when I sobered up at 40 years old, I was like a 16-year-old in a 40-year-old body going, this sucks. What's going on? And it's like, so now I'm about technically, you know, 26, 27, and I
Good
feel
year.
better. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of going and
Now you're
evolved.
like in it to win it.
Yeah.
So you go like,
26.
oh, minus 25 years of drinking plus 10 years sober. Okay, that's how old I am, or young I am.
That's incredible. And what a, you know, what an inspiration to the people that you talk to. And hey, here's the deal. It's never too late.
Never too late.
It's never too late to ask for help, to change, to reach out. You know, now I embrace change. I'm like, bring it on. What is
Yeah.
around the next corner? Because it's gonna be better than what's here now. What
100%. 100%. I'm always looking to improve myself. You know, it's like,
the change, bring me the hard work.
I'm
let's
coming out with a
get
shirt
after
that says my bio moment, and it says B period I period O. Bring it on. That's bring it on.
Yes, bring
I
your
like
bio.
that.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Like, we want leaders in our own, we got to be leaders in our own lives. We've got to figure it out, how to use whatever the struggle is. Out of the mess comes the message. There's a message in all of us. There's an inspiration in all of us. And I love what you guys are doing about shining the light on this, like shining the light on epilepsy, shining the light on all of it. Let's get the creepy monster out from underneath the bed. Let's call it what it is. And let's like embrace what the gift is, because there is always a gift in something. And I know it doesn't feel like it. And then there are going to be people out there like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't live with this. I understand. I don't have your particular problem, but I have my version of it.
Right.
Everybody has their version of it. And so, like, you are the beacons of the world. You are the light of the world. If people listen, the more we are vulnerable, the more we talk, the more we explore and overcome, the more we can reach out and give a lifeline to somebody else, because somebody else needs to hear your story. Somebody else needs to see your success in order for them to believe it for themselves.
Right.
And that, even if you change one person's life, you empower one person.
That's a huge accomplishment.
That's everything.
So important.
I
right?
had a high school friend. Oh, go ahead, Liz.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, Liz, go ahead.
Oh, I had a high school friend that I helped about 6, 7 years ago. A friend of mine from way back in the day. And she went through a really hard transition, sobriety, everything. And then she told me about 3 years ago, you saved my life. And it really hit home. I started crying when I was talking to her, and I didn't understand, like, she had said that before, like I would have been dead. She was on the streets, drugs, everything, and had lost everything for years, was struggling. And then I helped her stay in her RV for a while, just get back on her feet. Now she's back with her family, her grandkids, and she's doing wonderful. And it kind of awoke me to, I don't know how many people I've helped, but that was one significant awakening moment too.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Stefan. You know, it really is. And sometimes it's literally, you know, sometimes I go and maybe I'm in my head, and I'm driving and whatever. And I, you know, here's a trick that I do to pattern interrupt. It's called pattern interruption. So when you've created that habit of negative thinking for so long, it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I hear people, I don't know what to do. I worry all the time. I have anxiety all the time. And the quickest thing I can do without, you know, diving into what is it and uncovering that, you know, peeling that onion back, is get an elastic band and put it on your wrist.
Mhm.
And anytime you catch yourself, and you know, those thoughts, they come in and they come and go. And sometimes we're so used to them that we don't even acknowledge them. But
Right.
when you hear yourself saying, oh, whatever it is, life sucks, I suck, whatever that looks like.
Right.
Take your rubber band and snap your wrist, which is a pattern interrupt. It's going to interrupt that thought.
That thought. Excellent idea.
Negative thought process, and then immediately either go into something you're grateful for or replace it with an affirmation. And I don't care if you believe it or not. Like Stefan was saying earlier, I'm amazing. I'm awesome. I'm a woman of action. I can do anything. I can overcome. Today is the best day of my life. I don't care what it is. Replace that negative thought and do it. If you have to snap your wrist 800 times a day to the point where you, at the end of the day, have a red mark around it, great. Celebrate that.
Right.
Celebrate the small wins, because listen, there is no like major, like, woo. It's like I said, it's not a straight line. It's little individual wins along the way that get you to where you need to go.
100%.
Celebrate yourself, celebrate you. Also, another trick, smile in the mirror for 30 seconds. I know it sounds ridiculous, literally.
Even if you have to go like this and push
Even
yourself,
if you
right?
have to do this.
Oh yeah, I'm happy. I'm
Exactly.
happy.
But it signifies there is an endorphin that is released. It signals to the brain that you're happy, and a chemical reaction happens, and it will actually elevate your mood.
Right.
There you go. Those are 2 tips.
I did that last night. Ironically, I was going to the driving range for the first time in a long time. I got new clubs.
Oh, that'll be frustrating.
And but it wasn't. You know what I started doing? It's funny you say this. I looked at the ball, and I was like, it went right, it went left, and I started smiling somehow. I didn't even tell myself. I go, okay, perfect. And I just focused on it every time. Like 9 out of 10 times, it went perfectly straight. I was smiling. That's right. I was just like, okay. And so it's like life.
Golf is a mental game, right?
It is. It's huge. And just to keep my eye on the ball, keep your focus on life, and right where you want to hit it. Yeah.
The more you try to control that ball, the worse you are.
Right.
Like
honestly,
life.
I play golf. I used to play golf. I've had a hole in one actually, but that was a miracle and an awesome day. I birdied and then I holed in one, but long time ago. But yeah, and you can see people, sports is a great analogy. You can see people who have a positive mindset when they start. And then if things start going wrong in the middle of a game, a match, a golf tournament, if they can't get a handle on that mental thing, you'll see their game is gone. It's gone.
Right.
It's gone. Or the people that can really pull up by the bootstraps and go, all right, let's use this to fuel my drive, and I'm gonna, get over this. They win. That's a champion.
Yeah.
Champion. So, but I'm super excited about the book. I'm super, nervous about it too. It's hard to put yourself out there, and walk the walk, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can talk the talk, but it's about walking the walk and taking steps towards that. So I aim to launch it at the end of this week, and I'm going to be offering it for your viewers and for a small group of my subscribers. I'm going to set it for $0 for a couple of days in the beginning, because I would love for people to go and download it, read it, and if they would be open and willing to leave a review, that would be great. My goal and mission in life is to help as many people as possible. Books don't sell without reviews. And so I would be really grateful if this fits, or somebody, anybody,
Mhm.
somebody with a teen who's struggling or not, or just,
Right.
want to start preparing them.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing, and a wonderful way for parents and kids, or sister, brother, or uncle, aunt, whatever your family dynamic is, grandmother, where it's not, it looks different for everyone, but it's a wonderful way to open up communication with somebody you care about and really connect and build a bond, working together on these sort of really, really important imperative things, which is your inner life, your thought life. I just wish, it's been amazing talking to you guys. I love what you're doing. It's so necessary, and I can see how epilepsy, you're right, like Stacey, it's not talked about as much in
No.
the mainstream, and that's got to be difficult to have a disease and not feel like people understand, or that it's not,
It's gotten a little bit better, but we're not there yet. Like you talk
Right.
about cancer, there's plenty of people that cancer is out there in the media, it's talked about. You talk about diabetes, it's out there in the media,
Right.
it's talked about. When do you really see that much media response to epilepsy? And the problem is that if you don't know what it is, you fear it, and like, we were mentioning before, back in the day, it was told, I had one woman wrote me a letter and she told me that her mother told her not to say anything because she was from Hawaii and it was a curse. So she for
Oh my
years,
goodness.
she thought she was cursed, because she had this disorder. So, it's the stigmatism is still there, but it has gotten a little bit better, but we're not there yet. And, people have to realize that everybody in this life has something. And, no matter what you go through, every individual has something, whether it be stress, a disease, a disorder, an invisible condition, everybody has something. So nobody should be ostracized because they have something.
Yeah.
Everybody should be created as equal, or given a chance to be created as equal. And, and that's what we need to get the message through. People are very judgmental in society, but until you walk through somebody else's shoes, don't talk and judge other people, because it's very, people. Oh, go ahead, Liz.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted. Continue.
No. All I was going to say is that, it's very easy for people to always open their mouths and say, judge somebody for their actions or for whatever they did or said. But until you, walk through an individual's shoes, you don't really have the right to, to say that's wrong, or this is not right, or this person, this person should be doing this. Walk through the person's shoes and then speak to me later.
I always say, do not should on yourself, and do not shit on me.
Right.
There is
Shoulda,
no
coulda, woulda. Should. That's what Tony Robbins says. Should,
there's
should,
no
I should have done this. Should have
should,
done that.
would, could. There's no should, because listen, we're all on our own journey. So nobody's
Yeah.
journey is right or wrong.
Exactly.
Your experience is no better or worse than my experience, or less important. Maybe we should step away from that and figure out and approach it. How can I understand you better?
Exactly.
How can I
100%.
understand you? Let me understand, explain to me what your perspective is. I want to learn from that.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
exactly the way it should be. 100%. Great, comment.
Sorry, Liz, go ahead.
No, that's okay. This is actually symbolic for me and for us here, that this lady in my life right here, actually, a statue that Escondido put up on Grand Avenue about 10 years ago, when I was going through the homelessness, the DUIs, the sobriety part, this lady was put up right next to a pizza port place called Felipe's. And I used to go there all the time as a kid. And when I was facing homelessness, when I was struggling, when I was walking down Grand Avenue, I kept seeing her. And this is a mother that is helping her kid. Can you see that?
Oh,
And she's
beautiful.
looking. Now look at this
now I can see it.
symbolic part. What did I just talk about? This was there. A golf ball was sitting in her purse right now.
Oh my God. That was meant to be.
I was just
just
gonna
came
say, that's
over.
a sign.
Notice
Yeah,
the signs,
sure.
they're everywhere. Notice
They
the
are
signs.
Totally.
everywhere.
I'm shaking with that spiritual energy, but it says noodle. I don't know. It's a type of golf ball, but
I
it
do
doesn't.
believe
I
strongly in
love
spiritual
that.
energy. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
know,
whole.
Everything happens for a reason. And
Everything, people, places, things, pay attention. You never know.
yeah, your
Because
intuition.
listen, when we're all up here, right? Or we're all like focused on, we're missing things that are right in front of us.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe, I believe in God, universe, whatever. It puts people in your path for a reason, and half the time we're asleep at the wheel, or we're so distracted with these thoughts or these stories that we're telling ourselves that we're missing some gifts that are
Right.
happening. And so I love that you said that about that statue. It's amazing.
Yeah, it helps people. And I took a picture of it years ago with a homeless man sitting on that bench, completely obliterated, like passed out on that bench. And I was 5 years sober, but I said that could have been me. That,
Right.
you know, and it has reminders of your past, but don't live in the past.
Right.
So that
Exactly.
gave me a future hole in one to find that golf ball there.
Well, then
That's
you should feel
right.
good about yourself because you got past that. You
That's
were once
right.
there and now you are
That's
there
right.
here, you know?
Yeah, you can use that thought. Yeah, remember your past, but remember it with gratitude.
Exactly.
Like, thank
Yeah,
you.
I mean, like your book
Because without
says, you know,
that, you wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't
Right.
be
yeah,
who you
helping
are today.
teenagers out and helping people overcome that don't have father figures there, that are blaming other people, that are pissed off at life and they don't even know what they're pissed off about. So they
Yeah.
drink, they do drugs because of escapism. And deep down inside, I was very angry at the father not being there. I was living in a 14 or 16-year-old mentality, you know, just pissed off, and you don't know why. So
Right.
your book has helped them awaken to that, right?
It absolutely does. I think it really I want to establish a way for kids to understand the difference between emotions and feelings, and how we actually have control over that, right?
Right.
We have control over the meaning that we give something.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you change the way that the meanings that you put on things, right, the challenges don't look like challenges anymore.
Right. It's
So
all about being a leader, not a
opportunity.
follower. Mm-hmm.
Correct. And be a leader in your own life, but like lead by knowing yourself. Like take
Yes.
the time. You know, I don't know if you guys read the introduction, but you know, I opened the book by saying, thank you for buying this book. Self-evaluation and self-awareness, it's not an easy thing, right?
Right.
You've got to be brave. You've got to be brave, and you've got to want it.
Yeah.
And go after it. But I think it's the number one thing you should learn.
Oh,
before
100%.
anything else. And so the book is really, it's written in a very conversational way. I'm very straightforward. It's not you know, condescending in any way. I really wanted to just have a real conversation. So the every chapter there's a story, and then there's the teaching, and then there are exercises. So step-by-step exercises that you can work on, you know, and it's go at your own pace. It's not a long book. It's 200 pages. I mean, honestly, each chapter could be its own book. It's a big topic. I did my best to dial it down in manageable bite-sized pieces. And I think it's really approachable. And, you know, hey, listen, it doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest to change. I think a lot of people think that, oh God, it's going to be I got to go to therapy for 20 years and I'm going to have to do that. Like, no. It's, you know, that was the thought process before. Yes, it is a process. Does it have? No. Make a decision and make it right. It's that simple. It's up to you. It's up to you. Set a goal, break it out into smaller bite-sized pieces, spread that out over a week, and rinse and repeat over time. You're going to make progress.
Oh yeah.
It changes. You're going to, when you're aware of what you're doing and you're intentional with your time, you're intentional with your mind, we are resilient. We are incredibly resilient beings that are miraculous. Things can change like that if
Yes.
you want them to.
Oh, 100%. In a matter of weeks, you can start changing
You
yourself.
can completely flip the switch.
Yes, 100%. And I've done that, I've
I
gotten,
know.
because you can't say, we all have roller coaster rides, and it doesn't matter, who you are and how much we all go through roller coaster rides, and it's not falling into that hole and being able to slowly figure a constructive way to get yourself out,
A
and
system, strategy.
yes.
I love a
100%.
good strategy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's the sunrise here in the Pacific Coast, and we wanted to wrap it up because it's going to be a wonderful video here for everybody to listen to and understand about what we all have gone through and grown through, especially you as an author here,
Yeah.
coming out with a new book. And I know what you mean, that the chapters go on and on, you can't stop. And all of a sudden you thought it was going to be 10-page chapters, all perfect. And then it's
Right.
40 pages. You're looking at it like, oh my God, that's too
You're
long.
like, no, nobody wants a 40-page chapter on this. How do I figure this out?
You break it down and then you make a second
Break it
series.
down, break it down.
The
Oh
Cole's
my
Notes
goodness.
version, right?
What was that?
The Cole's Notes version. Remember that from years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I've always been that type of person. I'm like, let's just tell me what I need to know. Like, get to the crux of the situation. Stop beating around the bush and just get to it. Okay.
Right.
You need to know now. So I try to keep that ADHD in mind, and just really and make it engaging. It's tough. Like you said, Stefan, that 16-year-old head is already rebellious, and I think eye rolling is like a normal part of their daily routine. So
they eye roll because they say, I know. There you go.
Right,
I know.
I know.
Oh yeah,
So
I've heard that before.
when I was proofing the book, I made a joke about it, and I'm like, all right, let's just look for eye rolling moments and see how many there are, and if I can like whittle them out to maybe a few.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see. I hope it's received well. Again, it's my.
Well, it sounds like a great book. I'm very excited to read it. I really am.
I appreciate that so much. And I love, thank you for inviting me. What a wonderful thing you guys have going here. And if there's anything that I can do in the future to support that, or any, functions that you guys go to, whatever it might be, I'm fascinated with anybody who overcomes anything. I can't imagine what it's like to live with epilepsy, but I honestly believe that, sometimes our greatest gifts are our greatest, tragedies and
Right.
and obstacles, and not, I shouldn't say tragedy, but obstacles. Yeah. So
See, what I learned is that like when I started, looking into like natural healing and trying to figure out a way to control my seizures, I realized when I was doing all the research that these things that I was doing for myself apply to everything, not just one thing, and that's how I brought in, not just focusing on epilepsy, but focusing on health and focusing on lifestyle changes and retraining the mind, like Stefan says, because it all ties into everything in life, what you do to help epilepsy, you could do for anything, for self-esteem, for conditions, diseases, whatever you think, you name it, it applies to everything.
Is inflammation an issue? Have there been studies on, inflammation in the body causes disease, right? So
yes,
which is why I do turmeric shots every day, and stuff like that, because it really helps with inflammation. And I love your approach, like red food number 5, dye.
Red dye 40, yeah.
Yeah, is it 40 or it used to be 5, number 5?
There's blue dye, yellow dye, but red dye 40 is the main thing of ADD, ADHD.
ADHD, hello.
And cancer.
Hello.
Cancer.
Kool-Aid, do you remember, guy? Like
Oh, yeah.
I'm dating myself now. Okay, let's just
I have
do
on
it.
my website, it's called Biome, and it's great for inflammation. They have like the super red, super greens. They have clean green living, and they have, it's all about bloating and inflammation. And I started using it. I've been using it for a couple of years now. And what a difference, because I noticed for myself with epilepsy, every time I had a seizure, my weight was up, my water weight was up. So
Wow, that's
bloating and inflammation definitely had an impact for me, because I would go on the scale and I could be from 7 to 12 pounds heavier in weight over one night period. So inflammation is definitely huge, because I noticed a lot of my seizures came from inflammation. That was one of the trigger points. So, you know, and then people get the joint pains, and they get so many different things, you know, from inflammation. Inflammation, you
oh my
know,
gosh, for sure.
it really, you know, affects the whole body. So I have it on my website. It's called Biome. It's great. I love it.
What's your website?
It's thecompleteherbalguide.com.
And you can just click on here. I'll point the link down here.
Yeah, yeah, I started taking.
Yeah, we put the website on there every time too. So
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I maybe I'll talk to you off camera more about that.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, everybody's got to get going, but again, thank you for the opportunity to join you today. It's been wonderful, and I love what you're doing, and you know, just shouting out to
And we're putting
everybody.
this book together. I've invited everybody, but Control, Delete, Reset Your Mind, Reset Your Life, and we're going to have a co-authored book. So I think it'd be perfect to have you a part of that, because you have a great story from being young, you know, from growing up.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love that.
Hey, everybody, have a great day. I have to run now. So it was
Yep.
awesome meeting you.
Yes,
Ava. Oh my gosh.
Pleasure. Yes.
Yes.
And I love your energy. I love how enthusiastic and passionate you are when you speak. You know, I really, you know, it's coming from the heart. You can feel it's coming from the heart, and that's what matters. You know, you have lots of speakers out there that speak and they do it for the dollars. It's not about the dollars. It's about doing it because you want to help. And I can clearly see you're out there to help people. So I really do appreciate that. It's great to meet people like you. It really is.
Amazing, right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
Hey guys, see you all later. I'm sorry I have to go, and
Oh, it's okay.
we'll talk soon.
Yes, it was
All
great
right.
seeing you again, Liz. I love you.
Yeah, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Sun does burn, the sea is cold, but we're all in the same rowing boat. We're trying to get along. Sit down by the river, and you will find you're no bigger. No, what's who I am.